Now we'll delve back into your local development environment and check out the way WordPress is installed by default. In a standard WordPress installation, there are several default themes present, with the newest one activated, and a couple of standard plugins as well. Plus, the default settings are always set the same, and there are a few that should be changed to use best practices. In this video, you'll learn what settings to change as soon as you install a WordPress installation and why these changes are important. Let's go. First, let's get set up with our local WordPress installation that we set up in the previous video. I'm going to start MAMP, and it's already started, so I can see the Apache server and the MySQL server are running. And I'm going to open Preferences just to make sure I know where I need to go, and click the Web Server tab, and I can see that under htdocs, under the MAMP folder, is where I have my document root. And that tells me that under localhost, each of my folder names that I had set up with a WordPress installation will be the name of my website. If you remember, I set up WP Dev Course 1 as my WordPress website. But let's open Windows Explorer, and if I look under C:, and in the MAMP folder, under htdocs, you can see that I've got these different WordPress installations present. If you open Windows Explorer, you can go and see which folders you have and what are their names, and then go back to your browser and type the name of one of the folders and hit return, and it'll load your website as long as MAMP is running. Now, in the default installation, the meta sidebar information is down here on the right hand side, and there's a login button. I'll usually right click on that and click open link in new tab, and I already have a tab open here, and I can log in with the username that I had set up before and password. So now I'm logged in to my fresh WordPress installation that has all the defaults set up, and I'm not on the internet. I'm using WordPress in a local environment, and it's going to be the fastest setup for creating new sites and managing my coursework. Go ahead and navigate to your own WordPress installation, and we'll get started looking at the defaults. First of all, if you open the website itself, you can see that this is the 2016 theme. Let's go back to the tab, open up Appearance and Themes, and let's look at which themes come with WordPress at this point. One is called 2016. It tells me that it's the active theme. The next one is 2015 and 2014. If you click each of the theme details buttons, you can look at what theme's the current theme, some information about the theme, how it's tagged, and the image of the theme. There's a few control buttons here, but I don't usually use these control buttons to customize my websites. I'll use the ones that are over here under Appearance. You can click the small arrow at the top left to go through the themes that are installed in your WordPress installation and look at the actual traits for each one of them. And the X closes that modal window. If you roll over Plugins and then click Installed Plugins, you can see that WordPress ships with 2 plugins already installed. Now, they're not activated, but they are installed. Akismet prevents comment spam, and Hello Dolly is a fun plugin created by one of the founders of WordPress, Matt Mullenweg. And if we activate the Hello Dolly plugin, you can see that it's very simple. What it does is it gives you a quote from the Hello Dolly musical in the top of your dashboard every time you go to a different page. Now, if this isn't a plugin that would be appropriate for your client, you might go into the plugins list, which I often do, and I delete that plugin. I like to keep my dashboards simple and understandable for my clients. So once it's not activated, you can hit delete and go ahead and delete the files. And then that plugin won't be in your plugin list anymore. Akismet is a great plugin to activate once you've got your site set up and configured, because if you have comments enabled for posts on the website, it will prevent a lot of spam from coming in and spamming and emailing the managers and the administrators of the site. For now, while I'm building sites, I just keep it inactivated. Now, if we go up and roll over users and look at your profile, you can see some information about your user account. And down a few items down is the word toolbar and the checkbox, show toolbar when viewing site. Now by default, WordPress has this checkbox enabled. And if you go over to the website in another tab, you can see that the toolbar across the top is a place that you can use to get to the dashboard and other places to manage your site, as well as your user profile and a login and logout button over here. A member of the public wouldn't be seeing this toolbar, so I prefer to go back and uncheck the toolbar box, update my profile, and then because I work between two tabs in my browser, I can refresh the page, and that toolbar disappears, thereby showing me the way the site would look to the general public. Back in the dashboard, if you click Settings, General, or just the Settings button, you'll open the General Settings tab, and you'll see a few settings that you've made when you set up the website initially. The site title, of course, but then the tagline is a default tagline, just another WordPress site. You might change that to something more appropriate for your client. The WordPress address and the site URL address are probably the same as what was set up when you were doing your WordPress installation. Your email address from when you set up the WordPress installation. All these are part of the defaults. And as we roll down, membership means that you can have people register as a user on the site, and when they register, what type of user are they going to be? A subscriber or a number of different users that will go through as we go into making membership sites in the future. I'll usually leave this unchecked for a regular website for a client. I will change the time zone, and not only the UTC times with the numbers, but there are also time zones in different cities across the world. You can just type the first few letters of the largest city around and see if that is the same time zone as yours. Denver's the one for me. And I choose a date format, a time format that fits with my country or my client's country, and how I'd like to start the week, and the language. And let's save our changes. Whenever you save changes in WordPress, you'll usually get an administrator message with a green bar here. This one says settings saved. You can always click the red X at the right side to close those messages. Just a few more settings to go through. If we check the writing settings page, you'll see that as you make a post, if you're doing a blog as a part of your site, if you have categories, you can make a default post category. Post formats we'll talk about in a later video, but in this theme, they enable a number of different post formats, whether it's going to be an image, potentially a video, a status or a quote, or a standard post format. And then you can post via email, meaning you can make an email address, and when that email address receives an email from you, it will make a post in the blog section of the website. Update services means when you publish a new post, it will enable the notification of a service like pingomatic.com, and this is good for search engine optimization and notifying websites around the internet that you have a new post. Under reading, this is a settings page that controls how your website visitors will approach your website. Your latest posts or a static page, and what I'm going to do right now is select a front page, which is going to be a page that's already built within the website. It's one of the default pages called sample page, and I'm going to change that from your local posts. In a subsequent video, we're going to be learning how to configure a website for a client using this theme, and we'll be creating a static page as the front page in order to have that website be appropriate for the client. There's a few blog settings pages, and I usually use these at their defaults. And then while I'm building a site, I'll usually discourage the search engines from indexing this site if it's on my live hosting company. I don't have to have that checked if it's locally inside my own computer because no one can access it through the internet. But I'll click Save Changes for my front page display settings. Discussion has to do with commenting, and there's a few settings you can read through here if you're going to have a blog section on your client's website, and you can control the commenting system. Under Media, depending on what theme you're using, these are the standard image sizes that get created when you upload a photo or an image to the media library. I'll usually leave these at their defaults unless I'm looking to match my column width or the body text width inside of posts and pages. And at that time, I might change this to the appropriate size so that every time I upload an image, it'll make a nice size image for that column width. In terms of the way you organize your files inside the media library, you can organize them into different folders that have months and years, or you can leave all of your images inside of the media library, which is a folder called Uploads. And it depends what you're trying to do with your clients, but oftentimes I will just uncheck the Organize My Uploads box as I'm building the site. And potentially if that client wants to have a blog and they're going to be uploading images relative to different dates and posts, I'll recheck that for future uploads. Lastly, permalinks are the URLs that your site is using. Now, it's very important actually that you check an appropriate box right here. Post name is currently the most popular permalink setting for WordPress posts. This gives you an excellent search engine optimized URL structure so that the names of your pages and posts appear in the URL. So click post name and then save changes. In terms of the categories and the tags, which we'll go over in a future video, the category default base URL word is called category. But there's an explanation here. If you use the word topics right here, then it'll make your link say /topics and then whatever the category name is. Tag is the default word for the tag base. Lastly, there are a few default posts, pages, and comments that get put in so you can look at the way that the theme looks. And there's a hello world post, where if you open that up, you can just see one sentence in here. Welcome to WordPress. This is your first post. Edit or delete it, then start writing. And you can see that our permalink structure has propagated through the site, and it's got the post name here after the website address. If you click Pages, All Pages, you'll see that there's also a sample page that comes up. And you can see that from our settings under reading, when we set a static page for our home page, it's now showing us that yes, this is called the front page that we chose in that other setting. Finally, there is a default comment that comes up, and all three of these pages are something that you may want to either edit or delete before you deliver this site to a client. In this video, you've opened up your local WordPress installation, looked at the defaults, and changed some of the default settings to adhere with best practices. In the next chapter, you'll build your first client site, a simple brochure website using the default theme and a few extra plugins. See you there.